What a world, and welcome back to the Inside the Hive podcast. I'm your host, if you don't know me already. Our podcast has lasted longer than the TikTok ban. Start off with jokes for the day. Let's recap the divisional round in the NFL playoffs. So just last week we did the wild card, and we gave our predictions for this week, and we went 3-1. We were stunned in one of our games, and this weekend was full of action. It's hard to pick best game of the week, but I will break down every game for you and my thoughts and look ahead to the championship series coming up in just a few days. So let's start off with Saturday. Texans at Chiefs. And we all knew what was supposed to happen. Kansas City Chiefs were supposed to win this game. And they did. But you can't say it without maybe a little controversy. Definitely some calls that were made that shouldn't have. Some calls that weren't made that should have. But in the end, playoff Kelsey came alive. Mahomes was Mahomes. And the Kansas City Chiefs are in their 7th straight AFC championship game. And for the past 15 years, it has either been Mahomes or Brady or both. It's just how it's supposed to be. Mahomes has never lost in the divisional round, and it continues just that way. There will be a point where the Chiefs don't win. But I have a feeling this is the last of Kelsey. Like, he will retire. And I feel like this is going to be the magical run. They're going to win 3. He's going to have 3 straight. He's going to have 4. He's going to have all these numbers. And, yeah, of course, Mahomes is going to probably win a couple more. But I think after this year, without Kelsey, they'll still make the playoffs. But I think they'll be a different team without him. And we'll see how things goes. But you can't count them out until they're knocked out. So Chiefs move on. Saturday's night game, the shock of all, the rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels, goes into Detroit and tramples the Lions, puts them in the cage, sends them to Cancun 45-31. Listen, it was a great game, but turnovers in this game were costly. And Detroit tried to pull some trickery and get back into the game, and it just ended up being a turnover, and it cost them in the end. Now, of course, there was that one play where Golf got intercepted, and it should have been overruled because they hit just at the end for the pick 6. But still, Detroit loses, and it sucks. Like, everyone envisioned a Chiefs-Lions Super Bowl. Chiefs going for 3-peat, and Lions trying to win a Super Bowl in forever. Actually, their first ever. So, and it's just going to have to be another year. But it was a good game. It really was. Jane Daniels looked like he'd been here. And now he's going into the conference title game. And to be honest, puts fear that the Commanders could end up in the Super Bowl. And there's a very real chance. Do not count them out next week against the Eagles. We'll get into that in just a moment, but do not count them out. That game, this is part 3 for them. It's going to be close. It's going to be good. I know it's going to be in Philly, but hey, he's going to play in Philly a lot more than just this. So, but on Sunday, Rams, Eagles, let it snow, and snow it did, and Saquon ran right through it. 205 yards, 2 touchdowns. He is their offense right now. If you guys haven't seen it, I have a YouTube video up, and I bring this up every time. I used to, root for the Giants before I really got into football, where I had people that were Giants fans and Jet fans, and I would just stick with the New York team but I'm talking 15 years ago, like when I'm still a kid, not knowing anything better. And watching the Giants, they were still kind of bad, but There was Odell. There was the excitement. They've just become bad. Like, yeah, they got good players because they end up drafting high. They should have paid Saquon. I have a YouTube video explaining their playoff run that year of how they get there, and it's all because of Saquon. There's nothing with Daniel Jones. It ended up being fourth quarter or later when there was a touchdown scored. It was from Saquon, and they won those games. Saquon is the difference maker, and I will continue to say it. The Giants destroyed their franchise by not re-signing him, and now we're sitting here. He's on a win away from the Super Bowl, something the Giants haven't done, nor a New York team has won since 2011. The Giants are the last New York team to win. Actually, I take that statement back. The Liberty just won, and I don't care what anyone says about the WNA. It's on the rise. Liberty won for New York. That stretch is over. But for the people that don't count it, which y'all need to hop on board the WNBA, but that's a whole different talk there. It's 2011 that out of the four major sports, the Knicks haven't won, the Nets haven't won, the Yankees haven't won, the Mets haven't won, the Jets haven't won, the Rangers, the Sabres, the Islanders, the Bills. The only team to win since 2011 is the Giants. Again, now you include the Liberty, they're into that mix. The drought is real, and Saquon chose to go to Philly. Now, yes, he's a Penn State alum, which is in Pennsylvania. He goes to Philly. He's one win away from the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts is hurt. Tongue twister there. And it showed in that game. Yes, the Rams fought back, but this was pure entertainment, and it came down to the end. It really did. As I said, a lot of these games, actually for these two games, the Sunday games, came down to who had the ball with under 2 minutes. Rams had the ball, they had a shot, and the Phillies defense stopped them. And they're on to the NFC Championship. Now to the Sunday night game, Ravens-Bills, the game of the week that everyone anticipated, and it was supposed to be close, which it was. And again, it's who had the ball with under 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. And the Ravens had the ball with under 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. What did they do? Scored a touchdown. Good. Now go get the 2-point conversion. Oh, wait. Now, they did go for 2 earlier. Now, I'm not going to blame them not making this 2-point conversion because it could have been avoided. You go look back at they went for a 2-point earlier. They failed. You kick one there, it's 7 instead of 8. So you're kicking one, it's tied. But then, yeah, the Ravens had the ball with under 2 minutes. Now you have the Bills, 2 timeouts, a minute 35 to get into field goal range or win it. So either way, I think the Bills would have won, either walk off or how it just ended up happening. But Bills win. It's another chapter in the Bills-Chiefs rivalry, and we will see how that goes. So we look forward to Championship Sunday. Commanders at Eagles, Bills at Chiefs, and I'll take a moment. We'll break this down. And as I said, you cannot, as much as it may seem like Philly is the better team on paper, yes, but do not count the Commanders out. I have counted them out. They went up against the Bucks. They went up against the Lions. Being the Bucks, I get it. Tampa wasn't, they just got in. So, but the Lions, I know they were hurt, but it's still their offense kind of ran and they just get trampled on. So, the Eagles should win. I do pick the Eagles. But do not count the Commanders out. This will be close. And I will say this multiple times throughout this podcast, and I've already said it. Whoever has the ball with under 2 minutes in the fourth quarter will win this football game. It is that simple. I believe the spread ends up being, let's check for next week, which I'll keep in the factor. Currently at -6 Philly. So take it as you wish. Then we got Bills at Chiefs, another round of this. Get your popcorn ready because everyone feels like this is the Bills' year. Now let's just go over it. You look at the past 2 years, where the Chiefs, they shouldn't have won. Like, the Chiefs had to go on the road for, like, the first time ever. Like, they got a home playoff game because they were the 3 seed. They had to go to Buffalo. Then they had to go to Baltimore. And they won. They won on the road. They didn't have to be at home. And you think about it, oh, their offense was weak, but they still won. Their defense was weak, still won. Now you look at them, they're just winning football games. And they find ways to win with or without the refs, whatever you feel in discussing that. But listen, I tweeted that what happens if the Bills go into Arrowhead, kick a game-winning field goal, and Detroit just runs through the NFC? How do you pick this? Because you have a team both teams need a Super Bowl. You got one that has lost 4 straight and hasn't been back since, and one that hasn't won in 57 years. Who do you root for? Well, now we don't have the dish anymore because Detroit ran through. But you're going to look at the 4 different matchups, and I have them ranked out of what would be most likely to least likely, and to explain it all. So it's going to be interesting. And again, whoever has the ball with under 2 minutes in the fourth quarter will win this football game. So, get my voice ready for this. So most likely what's going to happen, Chiefs-Eagles. We've seen this 2 years ago, and there's really nothing different. The only difference is Saquon. To my knowledge, the only difference between Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl this year, if it happens, and 2 years ago, is Saquon. And it's just that. So can Saquon be the difference for them to win the Super Bowl, or does it end up being the Chiefs 3-peat? Who knows? Then you get Bills-Eagles. Now, the question comes in, can you stop Saquon again? Well, the Bills essentially stopped, let's see. They held They held Derrick Henry at 84. Saquon at 205. So if you can keep Saquon under 100, and if Jalen Hurts isn't 100%, the Bills should take care of the Eagles. And, Bills fans hearing this, they should feel promised if it's Bills-Eagles. Like, it's right in front of them. Then you get Chiefs-Commanders, which I'm as much... No rookie has ever won the Super Bowl, and I don't think it's just going to happen. But don't count Jaden Daniels out to keep this game close. But again, it's going to be a way Mahomes finds a way, and he wins his 3rd Super Bowl. That, I feel like, if it is the Commanders, there's no question Mahomes wins it. They find a way, and there's hope in Washington, and maybe they can get a new stadium, get out of that awful field. And then the least likely outcome, Bills, Commanders. And it's the same thing with the Chiefs. Like, no rookie has won the Super Bowl. Bills beat their enemy in the playoffs, and they're finally here after years, and it's right there. It is right there for the taking. Now, I heard something earlier that this is the easiest the Chiefs have had it. Winning the Super Bowl is not easy. Like, it is the hardest championship to win because anything can happen. Like in baseball, it's a game of inches. But you think about it, baseball, basketball, and hockey, they all play minimum 4 games, max 7 in a series. You get either 3 or 4 games. You need to be on your A game every game if you want to win. One mistake can cost you your season. And there's there's a tomorrow. There's no tomorrow. It's, tomorrow you're going back to your home stadium, packing up your stuff, and we'll see you next year. So, but playoff Kelsey is the key factor for the Chiefs. Saquon is the factor for the Eagles. Chiefs spread is -2. So we'll see what happens. It's get your popcorn ready. That's all I gotta say. But I will say, I let my son, who is 2.5, press buttons. Since the Monday night game, Vikings-Rams, he is 4-0-1 in picking spreads. Now, controversy into some of it, it wasn't the day of. So the Chiefs line, he had it, it was set at -8.5. So keep that in mind. It ended up at -9.5. And with that safety, the people that had it at 9.5 lost, and I won. The Eagles ended up at, he chose Rams +6. What a devilish line. It ended at +7. So if I waited, I would have lost money. So I'm glad I did it when I told him to do it, just to press buttons. So it worked out. So he had Rams. They outright won. He had the Chiefs. He had the Commanders. They outright won. He had the Rams, which pushed. And then he had the Bills at +1.5, and they just outright won. So, mind you, 2.5, and everyone makes those videos of like a dog or a kid, and they're like doing amazing, and they keep doing it. Like over time, it's not gonna continue to be this, but we're gonna enjoy the run. The kid's on fire. I love the kid. He's my son. Of course, I love him, but I love him. It's going to his college education for y'all's concerned. Unfortunately, with the push, it did decrease the payout, but I will make sure it gets into his college fund. So, but the other game that was on is Ohio State, Notre Dame. Cheers to Ohio State. As much as I root against them because I am a Penn State fan, congratulations. Well-deserved. The hardest college playoffs in history because we went to 12 this year instead of the 4. Don't get me wrong. 4 was entertaining. This 12 seed, little tweaking, it'll be perfect for next year. It was fun to watch. So, but I watched as much as I could. And the Notre Dame defense could not stop Ohio State. And of course, late, it looked like it was going to be a choke job. But Ohio State got that one big play and essentially sealed the game. Notre Dame, like, it hasn't been like 2 years ago where it was Georgia, TCU, where it was just awful. Complete blowout in a championship game. Like, what? Like, I get it. TCU had the right to be there. But you look at it, I'm like, they were going to get trampled either way. So it would look like it was getting out of hand, and then they came back, which is always what you want, and it was a 1-score until they kicked that field goal. I do have 2 things to say. One's a good thing, one's a bad thing. So, I know DraftKings, again, if you do gamble, you gotta be 21 or older, be responsible. I will say that in everything, because I've learned to be very responsible. So, of course, they're doing this King of the End Zone, so I got lucky. From that Chargers, I got Ladd McConley. He won the weekend, so I got a $68 free bet. And I was like, what do I use? I need to make... I don't bet that high. I really don't. I very rarely bet high, like crazy amounts. I usually stick to my 5, 10, sometimes go 20, but nothing like too crazy. So I did this large sum of money for free. I'm like, I need to make my money. So I'm glad that one hit. I got it. I took the over for the game. So that hit, so I'm happy about that. I got a bad beat for y'all. So with how college game is, you can't. It's so much you can do on the betting wise because it is college and the limitations. So I was like looking at, they do squares. So if you don't know what squares are, I know usually for the Super Bowl people do it like on a paper, AFC, NFC. They draw numbers and whatever, the cross section and then the quarter, that's what you get. So I'm looking at the numbers, and I had a score in my head. I had 24-21. That's what my score. So I'm thinking 4-1. So 4 Ohio State, 1 Notre Dame. So I'm thinking. And, you're going through your other numbers. You're thinking your 7s, your 3s. You start doing the multiples of that. And I'm like thinking, okay, well, what if it's 21-14 or 31-14? Keep that number in mind. Thinking like that. And I'm like, okay, that works. At first, I thought I had it 1 Ohio State, 7 Notre Dame, which would have ended at the half. I would have gotten at the half. but I ended up with Notre Dame 4, Ohio State 1. So, come to my demise watching this game. Third quarter. It is 31-7. Notre Dame, and it's like 3 minutes left, closing in the end zone at the end of the third quarter. Touchdown. I'm like, yes, because at that point, I'm like, okay, the over's going to hit. Like, I'm guaranteed good money here. And I'm like, okay, oh, Ohio State's going to get the ball back. They're not going to try to go for a big play. They're going to, drag out this clock. So it's going to end 31-14. 1 Ohio State, 4 Notre Dame. I'm going to win money. They go for 2. The bet is for January 20th. We are 20 days into 2025, and I'm calling this the bad beat of the year. And I tell you, I'm going to bet. I'm going to have, next weekend, the Super Bowl, March Madness, all baseball. Football's going to come around again. There's enough spread out within the year that there's going to be enough betting. And I'm calling this the bad beat of the year. I'm going to mark my word. I keep track of my bets. I post the really good ones. I do post the heartbreakers. This is the bad beat of the year. Because if they went for 1, it's 31-14. So they're still down. Now, of course, I understand where they're going with the math. And, of course, I had to do some math. So how were they going to get the 4? And there were, again, 2 possibilities, and, they didn't end up happening. But if they went for it, right, so they end up scoring another touchdown, which would have been 31-21. They're still down 10. Now, they missed the field goal. If they got that, that's 31-24. They need a touchdown still. But even if they went for on the 4th instead of the field goal, you're still talking a 3-point game. And if you can stop Ohio State, you're going to get the ball back. And you could tie the game. Now, of course, they ended up hitting a field goal, so you needed a touchdown, you would have won the game. So, mind you, this changes the whole dramatic of the game. Instead of needing 2 scores, it's more like 3, and they didn't have 3 more trips. I think they had 2. So, in the long run, I see what they were trying to do, but it is the bad beat of the year for me. It's going to be real hard to top the bad beat. I will probably look at the squares for the Super Bowl. I will take in consideration, maybe I'll do a couple of them, smaller wise, but, even then, if I do it smaller and it's 7-7, that should hit, maybe not, maybe 4-4, you look at the numbers, the multiples, simple ones, but when it's that on a dime and the reason it loses is because of 2-point conversion, and even if they didn't hit it, I still lose, and it's still a bad beat because they missed a 2-point conversion, and they could have gone for 1. So yeah, bad beat of the year. But I say when you're hearing this will be Wednesday, the 22nd. So in a couple days, we'll have Championship Sunday, and we'll be right back at it to recap it, and then we'll get ahead. And like I do every year, I will break down the numbers. I'm a little limited this year because I cannot access Prize Picks because it is not in the state of New York, and I am not traveling anywhere to look at the numbers. So we're gonna do our best this year. Prize Picks is usually where I get my projections, which are, I would probably say, give or take 5 up, down yards from everything else. So I will look at my numbers, and as I do every year, I make a YouTube video. Again, be responsible, and yeah. So get your popcorn ready. Remember, who's ever got the ball under 2 minutes will win the football games this weekend, and I'm calling it. My bets are, I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm gonna take Chiefs Eagles. There's no other way. If I had to pick it back up, I would do Bills Eagles. I as much as Jane Daniels praised him offensive rookie of the year, Washington has their quarterback. You start checking off boxes of teams have their quarterbacks. Washington has their quarterback. So you look at that division, it's and putting them in that division, and the Cowboys uncertain, the Giants don't have a quarterback, and Philly has their quarterback. this is going to be a good dogfight for years to come. So, as long as no one gets injured, injuries play a big part. As long as no injuries are, this is going to be a good dogfight for a couple years to come. So, as I said, it's either going to be Chiefs, Eagles, or Bills, Eagles. I'm not trying to count the Commanders. Do not, Commanders fans have hope. There is a chance for you all to win. If they do win, I'm going to, all I can say is congratulations. And praise them. No one, you get a rookie quarterback, you don't think you make it this far. If they end up winning, they would have been the number 1 seed, the number 2 seed, and the number 3 seed in the playoffs. Not in the order, but because number 4 seed was the Rams. So in hindsight, if you really start doing some math here, they beat the 3 seed, they beat the 1 seed, they beat the 2 seed, they beat the 4 seed, which also beat, since they were the 2 seed, the 7 seed. In hindsight, if the Commanders go to the Super Bowl, they would have beaten the rest of the NFC. Either by themselves or by defeating the Eagles. Because by defeating the Eagles won. It's complicated, but it makes sense in my head. So Commanders would have been the 1, 2, and 3 seed, while the Eagles took out the 7 and 4 seed. So, yeah. Crazy to think. That's how it's going to work. So, I look forward to this weekend. I do. And just like last weekend, it will be entertaining. And so will this week. And we're going to prepare for a nice little Mardi Gras Super Bowl. So, remember, if you guys like what you hear, or all the stuff I post, subscribe, turn on those notifications so you never miss new podcasts, YouTube video, photo, anything. Don't miss nothing of mine. And I'll see you next week when we recap the conference games. I'll catch you all next one.